That's insane.
To create, or how do you create a really good environment where those people can then thrive?
And that's the right stuff to cultivate inside you to be successful.
Where did you learn those skills to be able to transition? You said you were...
And that might be the most tough side of doing anything, actually.
What advice would you give people looking to follow in your footsteps?
Questions, that's a main mark of kind of being interested in something, you know?
Hello and welcome to the Behind the Blockchain podcast. Today I'm joined by Ross Kolodyazhnyi, the ex-CTO from Wirex. Ross, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks, Jack. All good.
Ross, for people who don't know who you are, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Considering my experience and my background, it's quite hard to craft something kind of short, some short statement about me, but I'll try. So, in a nutshell, I'm a person who brings innovations, brings new technology, brings new product to life in fintech, and that's actually what I do. Through my whole career, I was the one who kind of took the most cutting edge stuff, most insane ideas, most innovative things, and sometimes they were really incredible, and no one even thought that that's possible. And then brought it to the real products that being really valuable for people, brought money for business, and developed the industry overall. So that's what I do, and that's who I am. By joining all this, all my skills, all my knowledge, and partnering together with the great people, creating the great teams, I move through this kind of challenge of changing the landscape of the finance and bringing new technology, new innovations into fintech and finance into our everyday life, how we work with how we use money, how we use assets, how we work with assets, and so on.
Amazing. And you didn't take the traditional route into becoming a CTO or CIO, did you really? Could you talk us through your career journey and how you made that move? Because it's quite an unusual thing to go from product to CTO. Talk us through it.
What's more interesting to understand that the kind of title that you said, CTO, CIO, it's kind of, for me, it's not something specific or that's not kind of label that I have to be stick to. I am considering myself as a person who is extremely experienced and extremely focused on product and technology. So it's kind of, speaking normal words, it's a CTO plus CPO. Usually it kind of describes as a chief technical product officer. So all these sort of things together. And that's not a quite easy path to move through, because you have to be really curious about the technology as well. And being curious about the technology, I mean that you have to have specific hard skills to understand that, and to have an ability to switch yourself into the developer or into the person who deals with a really kind of hard for just a major stuff to understand, like a math calculations or logical business processes, or some like a level of abstractions and so on. But together with that, having the product mindset, you have to focus yourself on a business, and you have to be creative enough to understand that, okay, there is a problem, or there is an idea that can be solved somehow, and there are infinite way of solving problems or create or crafting or bringing some ideas to life. And having this kind of skills of observing these ideas, observing these problems, finding the solutions for that, something which is good enough or successful enough to being kind of applied to this idea or problem. It's one of important and most hard skills from the product side. And they are kind of opposite to each other. When you have to be kind of logical and mass focused, or like a number focused, not math but number focused, maybe not so kind of or maybe not so kind of about the speaking with people and doing high level stuff or thinking about problems, business, and so on. But on the other side, you have to be business oriented, customers oriented, problem oriented, and so on. And joining these two opposite skills, that's a thing which is really hard to switch between, and it requires additional kind of effort to move yourself from one point to another and to control yourself to do not stuck in one of sides. To achieve this kind of level of skills and to achieve this level of knowledge, it's a, as I said, it's a path to move through, and it requires to try yourself both in a business and in a technology. And that's interesting topic to discuss because most of people, they are trying to concentrate in something in some one direction, and that's right, to become like a professional in tech or professional in product and so on. But through my whole career, I've invested more time than the usual person. I worked overnight. I worked on holidays. I worked on kind of on weekends and so on, just to have just to achieve the equality of skills and just to push myself more kind of much more forward than the usual person does. Why do I need that? Because you have to be ahead of nowadays the world is so fast that you have to be ahead of like a lot of people in order to grab something, in order to be able to state yourself as a person that you can trust and the person that can do something, or the person that could access to some certain of I don't know, piece of light from the sun, so moving from my career, I've been a person who started from the business and specifically from sales, and right from the very beginning, I've put my effort to the industry. I've put my effort to the fintech, to the finance, and that was my kind of decision that I've crafted kind of by thinking, by looking around what I want to do. And I decided that I want to choose not the specific thing or specific label what to do. I want to choose the industry where I want to develop myself, and what specific role I would have, it depends on the skills that are most aligned with my kind of way of doing stuff, my behaviors, my mindset, and my personality. And through the career of sales in the finance, sales in the banking products, I understood that without the clue, without the understanding how it works under the hood, you won't be able so kind of good enough to explain people something which is not quite usual for them right now. For example, I've started with selling of internet banking products and credit cards, or credit cards and some online products related to banking services, for retail and for business. And back in the days, that was kind of 17 years ago, these services were extremely kind of innovating for the people, and no one even thought that all of banks gonna have the mobile bankings, or all of banks gonna have, even back in the days there was no kind of understanding that all of banks gonna have the web banking, even like without the consideration about the mobile banking. So back in the days, I was in charge of creating such products and selling this product to the retail and to business. And what I was kind of what challenges I had in understanding of people how it works, in educating of people that these products are safe, better, faster, and cheaper, and finding the answers on the question why these answers brought me to the kind of digital products, to more heavy attention to brought my to more attention to the digital products, to crafting digital products and to building them with together with the developers. And then more questions why I had more questions why, because you have to speak with the people that really out of the business and really kind of do not care often what happens with the client, because they care about the technology, because they care about how it works. And to speak on their language, you have to ask questions why to yourself, and educate yourself enough to to be on the same level with them. So I've moved to the development, and I've moved to the solution architecture, and then in parallel, I also worked with the customers as well, but now not as a salesperson, more as a kind of consulting, or more as a product management, solution architect, and so on, solving the business problems and developing together with developers kind of the solutions for these problems, and so on and so forth. So this kind of parallel development of my skills brought me to the point where I am, where I'm a manager, or I'm a leader who creates the value for customers, or for clients, or for people, and the leader who engages the people that create value, and merging all these sort of things together, they these things are able to produce incredible things. Hopefully, it was not so long enough.
No, no, that's good. So when you made the move from salesperson to product into technologist, where did you learn those skills to be able to transition? You said you were working on holidays and on weekends and late nights and things like that. Where did you actually learn how to do that stuff? And yeah, could you talk me through it?
My path of learning that it's gonna pass more of tries and fails than someone just said me, or kind of taught me about something. And that's always the mix
Okay.
of when you doing something, and you reaching the point when you cannot, with your practical skills, you cannot grow further, and you have some theory to organize. You have to you must have some theory injection of like a learning something from another people, uh,
Yeah.
to organize your practical skills, and then merging this kind of theory and practice, develop yourself further through the career, and through the market, and so on. and try to use as much kind of tools from online courses to YouTube videos to books, obviously. Then I go to some kind of wise people that teaching other people on a day-to-day manner, so that they work, they know how to kind of put bits of
Hmm.
knowledge into your head and help you to kind of educate yourself faster, and teaching myself. And through this approach, that's maybe one of most efficient for me, because a lot of aha moments, or a lot of moments that kind of eureka for you, and that's kind of really amazing stuff and amazing feeling inside you when you finally understand that, oh, I get it how it works, I get it, the understanding, I moved through that, and that's kind of the flow, that the big stream that takes you and move further through your development.
Uh, Over the last 6 years or so, obviously you've built the team at Wirex, and I understand that was your first kind of CTO, CIO type role. Um, what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned over those 6 years for someone who might be more product focused, who is looking to try and take a step into that position?
During these 6 years, I've seen hell a lot of shit and learned hell a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
That I, I've s- I always kind of think about that experience, and I've seen maybe all that could be seen in a fintech or in building of startup company, rises and fails, and kind of good times, bad times, and so on and so forth. And all lessons that I've learned through that, they may be not so unique, or they may be not so kind of mind blowing, but always related to the way how you dealing with people. Even if you top notch product person, even if you top notch kind of tech person, whatever, the only ultimate thing what you have to kind of achieve, or you have to do, or you have to create, it's a cycle of people around you that you can trust. Speaking about the product overall, and speaking about the kind of growth and creating value overall, important thing to consider is that you have to ship fast. You have to create and show what you're doing faster, even if it's kind of not really ready or something, just to get the initial feedback. And that's another important stuff, which is maybe more related to product. But also, in order to do that, you have to have people that are able to do that. So always thinking about further things to bring to life, to develop, to ship, to market, or to advertise, and so on. It always brings you back to people, and that's the most valuable lesson. Even if I didn't have an understanding of that at the very beginning, but that's kind of what you have to educate yourself and keep always like keep on track. On the another side of that valuable lesson about the team, about the trust, and so on and so forth, it's really important to craft the skill inside you to find these people. And by finding, I mean also the not so happy or not so kind of pleasant thing to do, of kind of saying goodbye to the people that do not trust you, do not honor, do not like provide the level of honor to you, or cannot uh, align themselves with what you doing or what you expect with them, from them, or from kind of the team or from the company overall. And moreover, to let yourself to say goodbye to people really quickly and without uh, any any bad feeling about that. When yeah, yeah, get away your emotions when you worked with someone for a long time and they became kind of and they were not the person that not type of the person that you thought about them, or you were certain about them, or you thought they were or something like that. And saying goodbye to these people, or saying goodbye to your feelings about these people, that's another kind of dark side of building this kind of trust, or building this trusted cycle around you, and educating yourself, or creating skills inside yourself of finding the right people and understanding how to say goodbye to the wrong people faster.
If someone is stepping into a leadership role for the first time to look to grow and scale a team, is there any piece of advice you would give them to how you would perhaps work out if someone is going to be the right fit for you, or if they are going to be the right trustworthy person that you would want in the team?
Yeah, and maybe one of main like a few of main things that if someone like steps in a leadership role, or wants to craft this kind of skills, or wants to bring wants to start to creating something valuable and brings that to the market, or brings it to to people and so on. One of most skills that I look on is kind of motivation and initiative to do something. And that's the most valuable maybe thing that compensates hard skills and soft skills that you do not know for now, because having enough motivation to dig or learn something, it will compensate everything that you don't know, or you do not feel confident that you right now. So being motivated drives you to ask questions with motivation drive you to kind of seek answers to these questions, and then answers drive you to kind of create something with your hand, or together with people and so on. And
Yeah.
as is probably understandable from my words, but I'll outline that one more time, that motivation always goes not only with the feeling of wanting to of doing something. It always goes with enough discipline to force you into the action, into the exact execution. And that might be the most tough side of doing anything, actually, because thinking
Yeah.
about that and flying around your dreams and fantasies, it's easy. And being motivating about thinking how you good, how you kind of do something and so on, it's easy to kind of fly around this stuff. But force you into the action, into the execution, that's the right motivation for person, and that's the right stuff to cultivate inside you to be successful on any position.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You've worked with, tons of people over the years. You've hired tons of people. You've interviewed tons of people. Are there any common mistakes that you've seen people make, other than maybe the motivation side of things, or not necessarily understanding their own motivation? Is there anything else that you've seen, any mistakes that people make that really hold them back in their careers, or hold them back in an interview process, for example?
The only mistake, I think, the people just don't give a shit about anything.
Yeah.
By on the interview, they don't give a shit about the company, about what they want to do, or what they going to do in the company and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Inside in the company, they don't give a shit about their responsibilities or the quality of the result and so on. And that's maybe kind of the hard expression about laziness, or that's maybe a sharp expression overall, but passiveness or kind of thinking that, oh, it's enough for now. I won't kind of do a lot on the specific task or on something, or I won't dig deeper on something. That's kind of says the level of understanding what the person doing, or the level of how it will be interested, how the person will be interested in what he or she is doing, and it shows whether the person will be successful or not overall. So giving a shit, and that's maybe controversial to motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that would do not help you to move through the career. And by this, maybe one of the important mark that people do not have, or lazy, or they do not have any wants or needs to, or they don't give a shit about something, it's when the person doesn't have questions.
Mm-hmm.
Questions, that's a main mark of kind of being interested in something, you know. And after you ask questions, or on a way how the person asks questions, which questions the person asks, even though they do not have an answer overall, or they kinda self-answering, you can judge whether even something happens with this specific task, or if the person moves in the right direction, or whether there will be any result anyway, you know.
So once you found these motivated people who give a shit, what kind of environment do you need to create, or how do you create a really good environment where those people can then thrive?
It's really hard to it's really hard to cultivate when you have bad seeds around you, you know. And that might be the first stuff which you have to consider. As I said, you cannot grow any sort of anything if you have a bad seeds. And as you can create as much fertile soil around you for these seeds as possible. But if they are dead inside, and won't anything happen. And by cultivating
Yeah.
of something around people, for me it means just creating the enough uh, freedom for the right people, as for the right seeds, enough like a good enough soil, or a good enough environment for right people to grow, or to move, to expand their skills, to expand their personality. And that's what kind of I call of creating the right environment. When you specifically leading by example, all of these kind of people, all of this group, and show them what is the ultimate level of, or what is the good behavior, what is bad behavior, and how we should move together, not as a spectator, but as a part of the group, as a part of the team, as a person who works side by side with others. How we should move together through the ups and downs, through the fails and good achievements, and how we should treat ourselves and celebrate or kind of accept what we did and how we progressing through the through our objectives and so on. And that's kind of how you do stuff, how you create the best environment and the best culture around you.
And then how do you keep that kind of culture and keep that motivation whilst building through a bear market? Is it any different? Is it exactly the same? What does that look like?
It's about the kind of it's about the habit, bear
Yeah.
market or any bad market. It's not a it's a thing where you definitely know that there'll be a good times after the bad times. Why? Because it's a history. You can turn
Mhm.
your head back and see that that's something which repeatedly happens with the market, with the with the humankind, and so on. Good times and bad times, they are moving in parallel in human lives. And what's the main kind of attract for the motivation attraction point for the motivation? It's a this kind of good times north star point that you want to achieve, and crafting this point or specifying this point as an objective, as a something which is specific enough, measurable, and has big impact, like a north star impact, like a space impact on what you're doing. That's
Yeah.
and putting that as a mark to for everyone to look in one direction. That's the way how you can motivate yourself, how you can motivate your team, or in moving through the bad times and the good times as well. Because you always
Mhm.
have to think and have to look on what you're doing, what's on your plate, without bothering a lot on what happens around you.
Mhm.
I mean, in terms of like of overall market, because focusing on things that you can control, that will give you more motivation because you have and you receive more results, more feedback from your results than focusing on things that you cannot control. And putting the North Star metric or the North Star objective and crafting your path to that from the plates that you have, which means from the kind of things that you can control, and continuously achieving this stuff, achieving these things, and looking back on the past, what you that you moved through with achieving this North Star objective. That what can motivate day by day or even kind of hour by hour you and your team and people around you and so on.
I can see you're big on understanding how to motivate people and big on kind of getting people pointed in the same direction and hiring motivated and trusted people as well, which is yeah, it's interesting. So what motivated you then to take an interest in Web3 and blockchain?
First time when I came to that, I've had a lot of questions: why, how, and so on. And answers to these questions, as I said, in my way of doing stuff,
Yeah.
they let me to try and fail, to try to solve some problems, to try to kind of do something around and so on. And then I've just kind of moved into the stream and understood that blockchain gives literally enormous possibilities for the fintech. Not in a way of creating cryptocurrencies and creating some kind of NFTs and all of that sort of shit that is just a spin-off of the technology. The technology itself of ability of transferring the value from one point to another with a much higher efficiency that it happens right now. That's the main maybe um, motivator or the main kind of miracle looking thing that can bring more people and can bring the real products to life. Because for those professionals or for those people who work in the finance and the fintech, moving the value from one point to another or giving access to the value for people, that's a kind of piece of work to be done. It's a real tough thing of dealing with these kind of payments and so on. It's something which we have used to see around us, like a TransferWise or Revolut or any other sort of fintech products. They look like really kind of awesome. They look like fast, so you can send money instantly and so on. But under the hood, there is a pain. There is a huge pain of transferring this money from one bank to another, and vice versa. And blockchain cuts all of that pain, you know. And once there'll be, and that's what happens right now. I mean, that people together with bothering around with the shitcoins and all other stuff, they are creating real products that just bring current fintech solutions or bring new fintech products or similar stuff using new technology and make life better in terms of how we work with money, how we work with information, how we access money, and so on.
So if you could change something about Web3, what would it be?
Maybe the the specific change lies in a way how people think about Web3 and their stereotypes, which were created by the journalists, by the politicians, or whatever. Let's look on an example with FTX. When FTX corrupted and fell down, everyone blamed the cryptocurrency and said, "Oh my gosh, cryptocurrency is a scam." You see what's happened with FTX? That's insane. You will have to get rid of cryptocurrency. Sell Bitcoin instantly because FTX is about the cryptocurrency, and that's fucking nuts. That's insane. FTX crash doesn't have any relation with cryptocurrency. The infantile kind of bad actions of the management of the Sam Bankman-Fried, of the kind of the incompetent management. That's the cause of FTX fail, not the cryptocurrency, not the blockchain, and that's only one piece of BS around the what's gonna happen in the Web3 world, and that's what has the most influence on the insane regulation or insane expressions from the politicians that don't have a clue what is blockchain, what is cryptocurrency, because it's kind of you have to be techy guy to understand kind of how it works and so on. and reading just a newspaper which blames cryptocurrency in a FTX fail, it forms the mindset around Web3 and blockchain, and that's what I would kind of change in a way of thinking about that, thinking about that Web3 and so on. So we have to separate the Web3 and the scam, which comes from people. We have to separate the technology and the like unacceptable behavior of people. And looking on Web3 and looking on kind of all this hysteria that happens around uh, f- crimes in Web3, dirty money in Web3, and so on, which obviously how the papers say caused by cryptocurrency. Cash and traditional finance, they've laundered much more bigger money. Consider the case with Deutsche Bank or whatever. They've did more crimes through the regulated bankings than scams with the cryptocurrency and so on. But writing an article or throwing such a clickbait titles about cryptocurrency that attracts more attention than another just another scam in a Credit Suisse or Deutsche Bank or any other like a I don't know SVB bank, which SVB, right?
SVB,
Silicon Valley Bank, yeah, that happened just recently.
definitely. No, it's no, I agree completely with that. As a leader in the Web3 space, what advice would you give people looking to follow in your footsteps?
Try and do stuff. Try and fail. Maybe that's the biggest advice that I can issue to anyone, because once you will you will start doing something, you will start educating yourself, you will start asking questions about market, about people, about uh, teammates, about needs, about technology, and so on. Start doing something and have enough discipline for a long run. Don't abandon something, don't abandon what you're doing like instantly. Push forward, even if it's kind of that and you see it clearly. Push forward, start doing something in parallel, and find some crossovers between them, and to do pivots and to execute actions that will bring you to the um, to the growth of your skills, to the growth of what to the growth of valuable people around you, and to sometimes, and that's kind of has maybe the lowest probability to the growth of your wealth, and to the but the highest probability is that that will lead you to the growth of your value, or what value you bring to the people around you. Because if you're doing something which is which has a need, even if it completes this need, it will be kind of acceptable on the market, and you will find your customers. In terms of being an employee, you'll find your team, you'll find your company that will be really thankful that you kind of appeared on their path.
Some brilliant advice. Well, Ross, it was great to have a conversation. Really enjoyed it. Shared some brilliant insights there. Um, if anyone listening or watching wants to find out a little bit more from you or wants to have a conversation with you, are they okay to reach out to you on platforms like LinkedIn, for example, and drop you a message and kind of link up on there?
Yeah, Yeah, more than okay. I'm kind of speaking a lot with people, helping a lot of different people, and really every all the time I'm open for the direct message in a LinkedIn or in Twitter. I also have a Twitter account where I write important thoughts about what's happening around me, and hopefully that's helpful. So go to my LinkedIn, go to my Twitter, and drop me a message about what you have on your plate, how it could help you, or how we can collaborate together, partners, uh, advisors, investors, also welcoming. Would be happy to see.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Jack, for inviting me.
Thanks, Ross. Take care.